Hey guys, it's Lisa from NYC Gal Out, and if you are watching on YouTube, it's NYC Gal Pod. Guys, I am so upset because I recorded for 30 minutes, but I was recording in my car and I was recapping Real Housewives of Atlanta. But because I was sitting out in the sun in my car, my phone overheated, and when it gets too hot, it automatically shuts down. And I lost 30 minutes of recording, so I'm really upset about that because what I was recapping was Atlanta, and I was getting really into it because of the whole Kelli and Portia and then Cynthia and Pinky of it all and whatever. But anyway, let's just get into the recap. By the way, guys, so this right here was my Mother's Day bouquet, and I did a short on it. I showed you guys how to make a flower arrangement, and I said don't knock the bouquets from the grocery stores, from Walmart, from whatever, because here you guys cannot tell that it did not come from the florist. And if you guys watch that video that I did, you already know that this bouquet has already been a week. You should not be spending more than $20 on something that you know is going to die. Let's get to Atlanta. I actually met my husband when he was stationed in Killeen, which is about an hour away from Austin. It's about 2 hours away from Dallas. We're at Fort Polk. We're currently about 3 hours from Houston. So I've been to Dallas, I've been to Austin, and I've been to Houston. So I'm somewhat familiar with the state of Texas. It's a really big state. There's a bunch of other places that I haven't even explored yet. But what I kind of felt was like a little weird was that they're in Dallas. They're not in like rural Texas. I've been to Dallas. It's not what they're trying to make it seem. I don't know whose idea it was. This is supposed to be Cynthia's trip, but maybe production was the one that came up with like all of the activities or whatever. But Shamea and Kelli, they are carrying over from last week's episode their grievances about where they're sleeping, or as Shamea says, at the outhouse. I do understand how they might feel like they're being iced out and they're getting the short end of the stick. I don't think the room was as bad as they made it seem. And now I'm a military spouse. We've lived in 8 different states. Count that in your fingers, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. I feel like their grievances were not that bad. It was not that bad the way they made it seem. Like the way they made it seem was like they were staying at like the Motel 6 or something. Shamea and Kelli, they feel iced out. It's not necessarily about the room itself. It's just they feel like they're getting the short end of the stick. And to an extent, I do understand that, you know, you don't want to feel like you're being pushed out. They cook in the house that Shamea and Kelli are in. So I get that too. When Kelly's like, you know, we're over here smelling like fried chicken and fish and whatever. I don't think I did a lot of videos where you guys seen me in my outside clothes. But no, I'm definitely not cooking in my outside clothes because you will end up smelling like bacon and eggs and whatever else. So to that extent, I do think that there was some reasonable complaints with their grievances, but I also felt like it was not what they made it out to be. It was more the fact that they felt iced out, especially Kelli. They break up into 2 groups, and Pinky, Drew, Cynthia, Shamea, and Kelli are in one group. Phaedra, Portia, K. Michelle, and Angela, they're in the second group. I will say this about Angela. Angela is a grown-ass woman because in this season, we see her be the one to give that olive branch to Phaedra. And she's like, I don't trust her, but whatever. You know, she said she didn't do it, so I'm going to squash it. And listen, I believe Phaedra has something to do with it because she's sneaky like that. I do not trust Phaedra at all. We've seen the way she moves, which is why in this episode, Portia and Kelli, that argument, I was like, oh, this is giving deja vu a little bit. Are we just recycling storyline plot lines? Because now it feels like, oh, okay, maybe you guys thought that enough years had passed and you're able to recycle that Candy storyline, because Phaedra and Portia, PP, I call them PP over there. PP were basically trying to pull the Candy card on Kelli, I felt like, but before we even get to that, so they're doing separate activities. I mean, I don't know who came up with these activities, but even though Angela's group, they had fun just hanging out, they weren't really doing the activities because one of it was like horse riding, the other one was like wine tasting, and they were smelling like cow and horse doo-doo. I know a lot of people think that Shamea is corny and she's cringe and whatever. Listen, I don't have that energy for Shamea. I definitely see how Kelli is loud and annoying, and Shamea, she's loud also, but I find Shamea a lot more tolerable than Kelli. Like Kelli, when I see her on my television screen, she reminds me of a lot of little people. Little people, they overreact. They're very loud. They're very over the top. And I think they do that because they want to compensate for their lack of height. You see that a lot in dogs. It's not the big dogs that bark a lot. It's the little dogs that bark a lot. Like the Chihuahuas, they be barking. So I don't have that energy for Shamea. I don't think she's as annoying as Kelli, but I also think that Shamea, like, she makes me laugh. She's corny, but she also makes me laugh. Like, even in this episode, Shamea was like, I don't want to share a bed. She's like, if I want to pass gas, I have to squeeze my ass cheeks together. I thought that was so funny because I'm like, girl, same, right? Like, as a grown woman, I do not want to be sharing a bed with somebody else. Now, I think Cynthia, she went with like the group that she doesn't necessarily jive with because this is her trip. She's hosting it. And Pinky, Shamea, and Kelli, they're already feeling a certain way. So as the hostess, it's her event. So she's going to be the one that's going to be able to navigate everything. Shamea and Kelli, they are airing their grievances to Cynthia again. Cynthia is fed up. 50 came out, okay? 50 came out, and she was basically like, listen, nobody is holding you here. You don't want to be here. You don't need to be here. You could go. Like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to ruin my events? Because you got to remember, Cynthia, this is a girl's trip that she's hosting, but she's also down there because her tequila brand, she said that Dallas is the market that she's concentrating on because that's going to be where her biggest market is. Besides from them just complaining and bitching and moaning and groaning, that Cynthia felt like, okay, you guys trying to make me look like I don't know what I'm doing. And so that probably had a little bit to do with her feeling like I'm sick of this shit. Now, when she lays it out like that, Shamea, she does, kind of like roll it back. She's like, it's fine, Cynthia, it's no big deal, it's fine. I genuinely feel like with Shamea, she let it go. She wasn't going to make a big deal out of it anymore. I don't hate these people. I don't stand these people. I don't know these people. They don't know me. I would pass Portia, Phaedra, any of them on the streets, and I could not even blink once or twice because I don't know these people. But I have people that I enjoy more than others on my television screen. But Kelli, she wouldn't let it go. I don't know what's going on with her, but she wouldn't let it go. She kept on, and she's like, well, when you're somewhere, you expect a certain standard and whatever. I think Drew saw that, like, okay, girl, you're beating a dead horse. She chimes in, and she's like, okay, but you guys had a good night's sleep, and you look gorgeous. And then, I don't know why Kelli said it, but Kelli said that Drew looks like the alien from her movie, and I think the only reason why Kelli said that was because she wasn't expecting a compliment. Because Drew, she kind of threw that out quick. She was like, okay, but you got a good night's sleep and you look gorgeous. But Kelli, she's probably already feeling a certain way. So she probably didn't let that word gorgeous connect in her brain until afterwards. And instead, she probably thought that this was coming as an insult instead. Drew, she threw it out there really quick, like, okay, and what do you look like, Miss Proportion? That also makes it look bad because I'm sure production and the network, they probably get like a really good deal or a discount. I thought it was interesting because Crystal over there in Beverly Hills on her podcast, she was like, the way that these ladies complain, we were not allowed to complain about any of the places that we were staying at. And listen, different production company, different rules, right? Over there in the OC, they don't give a fuck about being PC, racism, any of that. But you see with Shed Media, and over there in OC is Evolution, that's Amazon. Shed Media is Warner Brothers, and I feel like, Warner Brothers, they're a little bit more PC because Shed Media, you notice like in Shed Media is RHOA, is Salt Lake City, is Beverly Hills, and over there, they're definitely more PC. Now, the ladies, they go out to eat and they go to a barbecue joint. Listen, Pinky, she's feeling whatever way, and Cynthia's just like, you didn't bring no vegan snacks? I mean, look, she's not even a vegetarian. She claims to be vegan. I put that in quotation marks because her girl, Kelli, that she's going so hard for, she's going so hard for Kelli and Shamea, but it's Kelli and Shamea who's going around saying she eats meat. Kelli specifically, okay? Kelli's like, that girl ate a steak. There was like no ifs and buts about it. She said you ate a steak. But you having this energy for Phaedra because she said you used to own a Jamaican restaurant. But Kelli's the one who's saying you ate a steak, girl. So I'm waiting for the reunion to see how Pinky's going to react to all of that when that question's being asked, because I know that question is going to be asked because you out here looking like a fool going so hard for Kelli and Shamea. Those two are besties, but she ate French fries. Listen, I looked at the menu. Other people, after the episode dropped, they also posted up the menu. There were other things that she could have gotten besides from greasy ass fries. She could have gotten salad. They had salad on that menu too. So she was being a bit much. I think she was wanting to really drive home like, I'm vegan, like, girl, whatever, okay? Little shorty out there is saying that you eat meat and not just your husband's meat, okay? She's saying you ate a damn steak. Anyway, but now at the restaurant, though, they get into, this little whatever where Drew says Pinky comes off aggressive. Cynthia basically says that, Pinky, she wants to dominate the conversation. Now, Pinky, she feels a certain way with being called aggressive. I am not with all of these PC terms. You are being racially insensitive by making racial stereotypes, racial comments, racial statements, or if you're using racial slurs. But you just saying somebody's aggressive, I don't feel like, that's whatever, because I am so sick of all of these triggering words. PC, you can't say retarded, you can't say somebody's aggressive. Like, where do you draw the line? Because then I feel like, okay, well, now you're wanting to basically silence every single person that has an opinion. It's like people saying, well, you can't say watermelon to a black person. You can't say fried chicken to a black person. Let me tell you, as an Asian person, I've had random people stick their head out and scream pork fried rice. So I feel like, okay, well, if you can't say all of this, then I feel like, well, you can't be saying pork fried rice then. There is absolutely no monopoly on racism. And listen, I feel like Pinky, she was aggressive. And if you're acting aggressive, you get to be called aggressive. I don't think it was taken out of context. I don't think it was something where she was over exaggerating. I don't think it was something where, oh, she wanted to make her seem like an angry black woman. Like, no, you coming across as an angry black woman. So if you come across that way, you get to be called that. You get to be labeled that. And as somebody who doesn't know any of these ladies, just watching it on my television, I'm like, yeah, she comes off aggressive. I felt like Pistol Edie, she also came off really aggressive. And I feel the same way about Pinky. Well, anyway, they go through all that bullshit. But listen, let's get to the other events of the episode, which is when they're all in the van together. They play some stupid game, whatever, who cares? But Portia and Kelli, they pick up where they last left off, which is Portia, she again accuses Kelli of sleeping with a married man. I don't believe Portia. I don't believe Portia because the way she explains it doesn't seem legit. And even the way she talks about it doesn't seem legit. But she's saying that she knows and that the guy that slept with Kelli had called her to let her know. I don't believe that. I don't believe that any man is going to sleep with someone and then the first person that they think of to call is Portia. That don't make no sense to me. And she was even asked that by a producer. Like, why would somebody be calling you? The answer she gave was fluff, fluff, voo, voo, doo, doo, because it made no sense. But what made me think like, oh, okay, are we doing a rerun of what you and the other one, the two PPs did to Candy? So the two PPs, they ran that game with Candy, and I was like, oh, this is giving deja vu flashback, rerun, whatever. Because now you're trying to run something up on Kelli saying that she slept with a married man, and Kelli is egging her on saying, say his name then, say his name, say his name. I have Destiny Child, that song playing in my head, say my name, say my name. And I'm just like, say his name, say it. Phaedra's like, no, 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 don't say it, don't say it. I was like, Phaedra, what are you doing? And then Phaedra, she gives some voo-voo, doo-doo, cuckoo nonsense about, well, I know the family, I know the man. She's saying some weird shit like she's trying to protect the wife. Now, let me tell you, Rhode Island and Atlanta, they both come on Sunday night. You have Joe Ellen over there on Rhode Island trying to be Captain Save-A-Ho, being besties with the mistress. You watching that, listen, Brian deserves to be called out like the little punk-ass dog that he is. So people who are watching both franchises on Sunday, they're probably like, oh, yes, Joe Ellen, yeah, whatever, Captain Save-A-Ho. But over there on Atlanta, now, if you're feeling that way about Joe Ellen, you best feel that same way over there in Atlanta, because that weird shit excuse that Phaedra made on protecting the wife, that don't make no damn sense to me. So I feel like, oh, who told you this lie? Was it Phaedra, messy ass Phaedra over there? Did she put that lie in your ears, in your head? And this is where we're going with this. Then she says that Kelli wants to scissor her. And again, it's giving Candy rerun because, that was the thing that they said about Candy also. And Kelli's like, I don't want your Frito looking pussy. I was like, oh, Jesus. But I don't understand. Why can't they say the name? Bravo has bleeped out names before. This is not something new. And if you are a Bravo Real Housewives fan like that, then you have known throughout the franchises, multiple franchises, they don't have a problem with bleeping out a name. They've done it multiple times in multiple franchises. So that makes me think, why couldn't she say the name? Even if she had said the name, it would have just been bleeped out. I'm thinking Phaedra stopped her because this was all BS. Because if it was legit, you could have just dropped the name, and Bravo, the production company, they could have just bleeped it out. But Portia, she doesn't drop the name. And I was like, oh, Portia, I don't know about you. Then Kelli says that, Portia slept with R. Kelly. Ill, gross. Let me tell you, R. Kelly, he's in a New York upstate prison for SA. But even before his SA conviction, that man married Aaliyah, or he was in a relationship with Aaliyah when she was like 14 years old. But listen, him and his ex-wife, they've been together since 96. But listen, however, whenever this happened, I mean, being with R. Kelly is not somebody to brag about. That's like you bragging about being with Diddy. Like, why would you want anybody to know about that nonsense? Like, so her putting it out there that she's been with R. Kelly, because I think she even dropped that in her book. I don't know. Apparently, Portia wrote a book. Okay, I don't know anybody who read the book, but apparently she wrote about being with R. Kelly in her book. Girl, that's not something to brag about. But anyway, her and Kelly, they're going back and forth, throwing insults at each other. That's basically where the episode ends. I will say though, Drew did a great reenactment of Shamea and Kelly where they're screeching and screaming and twerking, and they're a bit much when they're together. I find Shamea to be a lot more tolerable when she is with the other ladies. If I was Cynthia, I was like, no, you two could be in the outhouse, okay? So that was another thing. That was like a funny reenactment because I'm like, yeah, they two kind of act like that. Anyway, guys, let me know, what do you think? You think this is like another PP setup? Another reason why I think this is a PP setup is because last season, when Phaedra came back in like the last 2 weeks of filming, yes, that's right, you heard correctly, she came back in the last 2 weeks of filming. When she came back, that whole nonsense with that drama queen whose name I don't even remember. Your husband's Charles Oakley and he's cheated on you, raise your glass. Phaedra, she hauled ass to the parking lot to get into her car to call Portia. I thought like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. Why did you have such an itch in your ass to run to the car to tell Portia? Unless this was like a setup that you had and you had that itch in your ass and that's why you ran to your car so you could scratch that itch so that you could call Portia to let her know, I don't trust the PPs. Do you believe that Kelly was stepping out with a married man? Even the way the two PPs are explaining it, the way Portia's explaining it makes no damn sense. She's like, I am the receipt. Girl, how the hell are you the receipt unless you're going to tell me that you had a threesome with them? And then even her explanation to the producer, well, why would somebody who's had sex with Kelly run to the phone to call you right afterwards? That don't make no damn sense. And then Phaedra's nonsense about, I'm protecting the wife. That shit don't make no sense. So I'm like, PP, I don't trust you too. I don't trust you too. I think you're trying to run the same game that you did last season. It blew up in your face because I don't think they were expecting for Angela to be a fan favorite, but she is. And now they're doing that repeat, but they're doing it with Kelly instead. Let me know what you guys think about it.